Relations between Jordan's Palestinians and its Jordanians have always been one of this country's most sensitive issues. But it is an especially touchy subject nowadays, because if there is to be peace, there will also be enormous changes in this poor country. And both peoples stand to win or lose from the changes. With falling trade barriers, whole sectors of the economies of Jordan, Israel, and the West Bank may flourish or vanish. The region's resources are few and the people many. Overtaxed rivers can barely keep the farmlands green or the glasses full. There are too many mouths feeding off this parched landscape. And so, one of the most crucial questions in Jordan today is who will stay and who will go. How many Palestinians will be allowed to return to the West Bank? How many will want to? And how many will be welcome in tomorrow's Jordan? On the streets and in front of the TV cameras, people play down the problem.
And Palestine and Jordan never felt that the big difference between nations. They are only one big family.
We like the Palestinian people, and we want them to stay in our country.
But in private, both peoples worry.
Normally, Jordanians and Palestinians speak differently when they are alone than when they are mixed. When they are mixed, they speak a different language.
To many Jordanians, Palestinians have always meant instability and political intrigue. Palestinians say they are never sure they are welcome in Jordan, that they still lack a fair share of political power. To discuss the issue, CNN met with two outspoken commentators on Jordanian affairs. Fahad al-Fanik is what may be called a Jordanian nationalist. Some even say his articles in Jordan's main newspapers are extreme. Labib Kamhawi is also a Jordanian, but one born in Palestine.
It is a kind of forbidden topic. Nobody should discuss it. Everybody should know about it, but not discuss it, really.
He is also known to speak out on subjects most people only discuss with friends. Both men are on opposite sides of the spectrum, and they disagree on almost everything.
I think the Palestinians are 65% of the population of Jordan.
Jordan was always Jordan, but it has a lot of Palestinians. Something like 40% of the population are from Palestinian origin, but they are legally Jordanians.
The king himself is not Jordanian.
What is
He's a Hijazi. Who is a Jordanian? Ma'an and Aqaba was incorporated to Jordan only less than half a century ago. Who is a Jordanian? Who are these guys who are talking like this?
The identity of Jordan, the fact that Jordan is not a statistical problem. Even if the Palestinians are any percentage, Jordan remains a country for the Jordanians, and the Palestinians remain refugees and guests in another Arab country.
You cannot really say that because the land was lost, the Palestinians ceased to have any rights in the country and they become an unwelcome guest. This is also not acceptable, because when the land was lost, the Palestinians were partners and they were citizens of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan.
As successive wars broke the promise of these lands, waves of Palestinians fled across the river to the East Bank, in other words, to Jordan. How many will return to Palestine?
There is no practical possibility that all Palestinians will leave. The question is only whether the refugees in the camps will return or not. And their return would be positive on Jordan, because the refugees are a burden and not a contributing factor to the economy.
Quite to the contrary, the Jordanian economy flourished at the expense of Palestinian misery. Jordan was able to get huge amounts of money in the form of assistance because it harbors so many hundreds of thousands of refugees.
As soon as we have a Palestinian state or entity where the Palestinians can go to, then we have no problem, because in that case, anyone would either become Jordanian and forget about Palestine, or if he insists on his rights in Palestine, he has the choice to return there.
This is the crux of the problem. Everybody wants you to be anti-Palestinian just to prove your loyalty to Jordan and to the fact that you are Jordanian. And we have been fighting against this philosophy up till now. There is no contradiction, we say. Absolutely. Quite the contrary. I mean, Jordan and Palestine have always been one thing.
Some would say the tensions between Jordan's two main ethnic groups are typical of any mixed society. But the fact is, East Banker and West Banker have never had the chance to sort out their differences in the give and take of a democracy without war. In other words, a difficult process has only just begun. Stefan Kotsonis, CNN, Amman.
Have you had any, actually, let me go back 1 second. Just making note to myself when I ask this question. Momentarily, to go back to the issue of the first-class citizen, second-class citizen. Would you agree to give an oath that if you chose to stay here in the future, if you said that whatever I love Palestine, but my business opportunities are here, would you agree to give an oath of allegiance and say, I now, for henceforth, I'm a Jordanian, not a Palestinian, and in return, after that, for first-class rights?
I'm amazed that you're asking this question. I am a Jordanian. Now, I am a Jordanian of Palestinian origin. This is not a crime. Now, there are many Jordanians of Jordanian origin who have vested and daily interest in the Palestine problem. This doesn't make them traitors. Why, if the Palestinian of Jordan of Palestinian origin, if he cares about Palestine or works for Palestine, is this treason? Is working for Palestine treason? These guys, they're crazy who think like this. And the very same guys who think like this, maybe they are the ones who are required to give an oath of allegiance to the interest of the country. The king himself is not Jordanian.
What is it?
He's a Hijazi. Who is a Jordanian? Ma'an and Aqaba was incorporated to Jordan only less than half a century ago. Who is a Jordanian? Who are these guys who are talking like this? What makes them more Jordanians than me or anybody else who is in Jordan? What makes them more? Now, if any one of them dares to lead this argument and substantiate it publicly, let him come over. Let's see.
Okay, on the issue of, have you heard anything about the economic plan the Crown Prince is bringing back tomorrow, I guess? Have you heard anything about this?
Only very, very broadly.
Word isn't leaking out as to what the Israeli-Jordanian plan includes.
I think that